Hey guys, I am bringing a dear friend of mine today to meet you all. His name is Fernando. He is an awesome naked yoga teacher. He's been teaching for over 15 years, mainly in Europe. He's been in Europe for over a decade now, and he is a really, really beautiful soul. When I was in Paris a couple weeks ago, we got to hang out and got to do some fun naked yoga content together, and I've been asking him since then, please let me interview you on my YouTube channel. And I'm so glad to be able to bring him to you today. So welcome, Fernando.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to talk to you. It was amazing to meet you here when you were visiting Paris. So for me, it's an honor, really.
Oh, likewise, such a pleasure.
Thank you.
So, Fernando, we both love naked yoga, and Nude is something I talk a lot about on my YouTube channel, about how being naked makes us more authentic, more vulnerable, more in touch with our bodies. You want to just share with us your journey with becoming a naked yoga teacher or a naked yogi, and what it means to you? Why do you do it? Why do you enjoy it?
Well, I've been teaching yoga for a long time, and it was my regular practice, like vinyasa, hatha oriented classes. And for some reason, I mean, when you go to a studio, it's very normal to do it with clothes. I felt like there was this imprisonment with the clothes. There was not like this liberty or this freedom of just expressing yourself through the body. So I realized that when I practice yoga at my place, I always did it naked. For me, it was just feeling comfortable, feeling free of, as I'm telling you, any attachment, clothes attachment. And then, so I decided, why not share this kind of yoga with my male students? So we started with a very small classes. I started in Barcelona like 4 or 5 years ago. And I saw that they were also very happy of just letting go of these attachments, feeling free, non-judgmental about their bodies, because that's also a thing that we somehow cover our bodies just to, it's kind of not accepting what you have, your own skin. So for me, it was amazing. I had bigger guys, I had very thin guys, I had muscular guys, small guys, all kinds of races. So for me, it was about just freedom, being yourself, and just letting go.
I love it. Now, people who've never done a naked yoga class are probably very intimidated by the idea before coming. They're like, well,
yeah,
what if everyone there looks amazing and I don't? Or what happens if I get turned on in the middle of yoga class? Like, is that going to be super embarrassing? So what would you say to somebody who is curious about naked yoga but have never tried it?
That's a good question, because almost every time that I get someone in touch with me asking for information for the classes, that's their main concern. They're like, oh, if I get an erection, it will be embarrassing for me. And first of all, I tell them, okay, it's a natural reaction from the body. So as you have it when you see a beautiful man or when you're masturbating, it's totally acceptable. Nothing is going to change in the class. But the funny thing is that people think that they will get an immediate reaction, like they will get an erection, and it doesn't happen. It actually doesn't happen because you're so nervous and you're so self-aware, and it doesn't happen. And if you get an erection, that also happens. When you get into the practice, when you start concentrating on your breathing pattern, when you start concentrating on how the class is evolving, you forget about it. So you're not thinking so much about the erection, you're just thinking of the class and your self-presence. So erections just go away completely. So you should not be afraid, you should not be concerned about it, because one, it's natural, and two, it just goes away when you start practicing yoga.
Oh, one of the things I sometimes will say to people too is, if it happens, celebrate it. Be like, yes, I'm alive. I'm virile.
Exactly.
I have a body that works. Yes.
Exactly. That's it. It's like, it's totally natural. So just go for it, enjoy it. If it stays during the whole class, which doesn't happen a lot, at least to me, just go with the flow. Just enjoy it.
Now, in your naked yoga classes, you sometimes do partner work. I know when we came to Paris, my husband, your boyfriend, and I all got together and did some beautiful partner yoga practice that you can check on either of our Twitters to see.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
How is that experience, do you find, for guys? Like, I personally love naked partner yoga practice because I feel like it allows us to be seen, to be visible, to be in a state of connection with other guys. What does it do for you? How do you enjoy it?
It was funny because in the beginning I was just teaching regular naked classes, like guided classes, and then I just realized that exactly having partner yoga made a special connection with all of the people that were practicing yoga. So they kind of loosened up a little bit because of that partner yoga practice. So it's amazing. Of course, it adds a little bit of sensuality, and this is why people might be afraid about the erections, because you are so close to each other. There's this sense of touching the skin of another guy, but it adds to the practice. It's something additional. It's something extra that you get in the class. So actually, I kind of created 4 or 5 sequences where all the class, during the whole hour, you are connected with another guy. Since you start, hands, feet, pubic bone, chest, glutes, whatever, you're always connected. One is oriented to flexibility, the other one for strength, and the other one for balance. So yeah, it works pretty nice.
I love it. Well, on the topic of sensuality, do you think that there is a space for sensual energy or even sexual energy to be present in a yogic environment or a yogic interaction? Do you ever think that those things go together, or do you feel like they're things that should remain separate?
No, I think they might be complementary. I think you can connect, because yoga is a body experience to start with. You can go into deeper levels of awareness, like going from the skin into the breath, from the breath into the emotions, from the emotions into the mental, into the mind. So there are all these layers where you can connect through yoga. So adding the sensuality is part of it. I mean, energy is moving all throughout the body. In yoga, we talk a lot about the chakras. And one of the main chakras, Swadhisthana, which is the one that's residing on the pelvis, it speaks about sensuality. It's all about being sensual, about your own sexuality. It's part of yourself. So it's also a way of expressing yourself, and it's also a way of connecting with other people.
Yeah. And when you get into some of the more quote-unquote secret teachings of esoteric tantric yoga traditions, the more old school kind, not the neo-tantra kind, they all involve working specifically with that sexual energy center and using that energy and cultivating that energy and using it with partners, and then taking all that and transforming it into the oneness, into the energy that pervades all, enlightenment.
Exactly.
Call it. Yeah, it's one of the things that I really try to encourage people to consider who watch this channel, Ecstatic Self, is this idea that your sexual energy is holy. Your sexual energy is one of your gateways to your highest self, and to embrace it, to enjoy it. And so that's part of what I love that you bring into the room in your classes with people.
Thank you very much. And actually, I do work with tantric energy. I mean, even today I was teaching an online tantra class. And we began about just taking or being aware of the energy that's circulating around your penis, your testicles, the perineum, all that area that's so charged with energy. And then what Tantra talks about is developing this energy to allow it to expand it to the rest of the body. It's like it's all the energy. The energy comes from the earth, from the ground, from your feet, and it's just rising up. It goes through your legs up into your pelvis, and it keeps up rising up, and it's transforming from this lower sense of energy into higher levels of consciousness. But you have to go through sexuality in order to reach higher levels, your heart, your feelings, your intuition, and the connection to the world.
Amen. So if somebody is curious about how do they connect with that? Because I think a lot of people are just in general very disconnected from their sexual energy. It's something that just happens. Often it feels untamable, something that's just wild and they can't control it, or they don't know what to do with it or how it occurs. How does somebody start developing a positive, mindful connection with their sexual energy that can be used for their growth and personal evolution? How do they begin?
Actually, I mean, the first step, I think, is just realizing that you are afraid of connecting to your own energy, being aware that you are afraid of this side of yourself, and just taking a step to thinking or to realizing that you can do something more about yourself. I mean, sexual energy can be transformed in so many ways into, as I was saying, higher levels of consciousness, into being more creative. You can hold the sexual energy and keep it to evolve. I mean, the thing is that you realize that there's a blockage around it, and you might feel it if you don't have, if you're not satisfied when you're having sexual relationships, if you feel that you're afraid of getting in touch sexually with another person. So when you realize that you are lacking all these aspects of your life, I think that's a sign that you can take the decision to step into developing your sexual energy. Maybe through Tantra, through Sensual Yoga, through breathing exercises, through meditation, through observation, through awareness. I mean, the first step is realizing that you are lacking or you have a blockage of energy.
I love that.
In my opinion.
I love that. Question for you.
Yes.
One of the things I've come to realize in myself is that I don't often enjoy sex when people are not consciously aware of themselves. If they haven't developed an aspect of mindfulness, an aspect of self-awareness, an aspect of emotional connection, that if they're just there to be plowed, if they're just there to get off, but are not rooted in their bodies, or not rooted to something deeper than purely the physical, I have a very hard time being turned on. As somebody who is involved in yogic work and somebody who is very self-aware and aware of the more sensual sides of yogic and tantric practice, how do you connect with that? Do you find that you enjoy sex more when it's more mindful or more spiritual, or are you able to enjoy it no matter what?
I mean, for me, sexuality is very, it's sometimes associated with just physical pleasure. It's like the vision that I think most of the people get about sex, just going there and finding a guy and having sex with a guy or whatever you like in sex. But then you realize when you start to add up like elements like being aware, consciousness, a real, a deeper connection. You realize sex can be so much more different. And actually it can be so much more enjoyable, and you have a deeper growth, and then you find a new aspect about sexuality. And I think it's my case. I mean, sometimes it also happens that you are just in the physical mood and it's kind of wild and you get into it. But I do appreciate when I really try to connect through looking into your partner's eyes. That for me is essential. That adds a very profound and deep sense of connection. So for me, just staring into the eyes of my partner just gets me aroused. Mm-hmm. And then just feeling their skin and trying to connect to the temperature of their body and just feeling the moisture of their body, connecting through the breath, it adds a different dimension for me. So for me, it's totally different. Physical sex and sensual energy sex, they are totally different.
Amen. I remember a couple of years ago, I was meeting with a client, and there was somebody who was ridiculously handsome, a well-known model. And I remember him saying to me, I've had sex with thousands of guys, but I can probably count on one hand the number of times I truly felt satisfied in the sexual experience. And I hear that a lot from men, that they'll engage in a sexual encounter, but leave feeling unfulfilled, or leave feeling like there was something that they didn't receive. Do you think developing a naked yoga practice or a tantra practice, or one of the things we've been talking about, do you think that would help guys find a more fulfilling sex life?
I think yes, totally. Especially if you practice Tantra Yoga, I think there's, as I was saying, this sense of expanding the energy that you are creating in your own body. And I've seen people that are getting into naked yoga because first they come very afraid to the classes, and then they keep on coming and keep on coming, and they're here every Saturday or every Thursday when I'm holding the class at the studio. And I realized there's this special development of just losing this total control of being constricted, and there's this just letting go. So when you just let go, I think you can enjoy life more in general. And when it comes to sex, I'm pretty sure that they're having better sex than when they start previously to the naked yoga classes. I'm totally sure about it.
I love that you bring up this idea of letting go, because I think that's something that's so hard for all of us.
Yes.
You know, I've definitely gotten so much better at it through yoga and meditation.
Yeah.
And I think that's also why so many people, when they engage in a sexual encounter, can only really relax into it if they're inebriated or if they've taken some sort of chemical substance so they can fully let go. And I know for myself too, if I don't really feel safe in the sexual environment for whatever reason, it doesn't mean I need to know this person's life story, but if I don't feel fully relaxed, I have a hard time letting go and fully enjoying it. Do you have any tips or tricks for somebody who really wants to learn better, whether in sex or just in life, how to better let go and just sink into an experience? What can they do? Do you have any advice for that?
Well, I would love to know. Sometimes you don't have the time to really be so self-aware when it comes to sex. Sometimes you just go out and you find a guy that you like and you just go home and have sex, and there's not this real connection. But I think when it comes to partners, I mean, you know the other person deeply. Most of the times you've been sharing time with a guy, so you know how he likes to be touched. So I think it's all about exploration and trying new things, exploring new terrains, exploring new ways of touching your partner, exploring new techniques of I don't know, of masturbating, trying to find something new in the way you're sharing the sex with someone. If it's a regular, if it's your friend, if it's your partner, I think exploration is a very good advice for people that are afraid of it, because you know that people are afraid sometimes of sex.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just as I was saying, letting go. Me, and I'm very. I've been reading all the things you've been posting about. How you were very aware of your body, trying to cover your body, to this totally opposite situation where you're exposing yourself and you like being naked. And I was just like you. I hated taking my clothes off in front of other guys, until I realized that there was nothing to be ashamed about. It was, this is my body, this is who I am, this is my physical body. I just let go, and there you go, guys. So I think that's also a very good advice, to just let go when it comes to having a physical contact with someone.
I can remember when I was younger, part of my fear of letting go was I was afraid I wouldn't know who I would be then. Like, if I let go, is this monster going to come out? Is this crazy person going to come out? I think for a lot of people, like, why they're afraid to come to a naked yoga class is, well, who am I if I let go of all these boundaries that I've created around myself? If I let go of all of these personas and trappings and facades that I've erected, who will I be if I fully let go? And that feeling that, what if I'm terrible? What if I'm all powerful? What if I'm, like all these things that we can't conceive of? Did you ever have that experience?
Yes, I think the problem with people in general is that we are afraid of being judged by others. In terms of how did I perform? Was I good when I was kissing you? The way I was touching you? You are afraid of being judged of the size of your penis. You're afraid of what's the other one gonna think if you have some love handles. So all those things make people to be so self-aware and afraid of letting go. And it doesn't matter. it actually really doesn't matter. It's just like, as I'm saying, this is who I am. This is the size of my penis. You like it or not. And if you don't like it, you can just turn around and find someone else, and I'll go for someone else. So it's just accepting yourself, just letting go. And yes, of course, I had problems, and I didn't realize until I came into the gay ambiance, the world. You realize how there's too much pressure on performance and the size of your cock.
Mm-hmm.
So just don't worry about it. This is you're not going to change. So for me, it's just go ahead with it.
One of the things I frequently think to myself and say is, I think we would be emotionally and mentally a much happier and healthier society if we all hung out naked together more often, because we have these idealized versions of naked bodies through social media and TV and films. And when you get in a room of real naked people, that's not what human beings look like. And so we have these very warped ideas of what it means to be acceptable. And Lord knows I suffer from this too, right? This is not me saying I've escaped to this trap.
We all suffer from it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see something, or even porn, when you're watching porn, it's like, oh my God, that guy is huge. And you want to be just like him because you think that the size of the penis will give you more pleasure. And there's taste for everything. There are people who love huge penises. There are people that don't like huge penises. So it's just about finding, for me, the right partner, the person with whom you can have a nice chemistry, sharing, having a nice connection in different levels, the physical one, the emotional, the mental level. So it's all about connection.
Amen. And you are blessed to have a partner who you have a beautiful connection with and is a beautiful soul inside and out.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's totally true. He's an amazing guy, and I'm very happy for that because we've been able to find a real connection, and it's the first time in many, many years where I feel that this connection is evolving. Mm-hmm. And it's always it's both sides. So I'm teaching something to him, and he's teaching something to me. So it's always on both sides.
Totally. And I feel the same way with my partner. And
yes, he's an amazing guy. You are also a beautiful couple in all levels. When I see you connecting and talking to each other, I'm like, oh my God, this is an example for so many people that are fighting all the time and just having conflicts in their lives.
Thank you. I always say about him, as physically beautiful as I think he is, the most beautiful thing about him is his heart and his spirit. And I think that's one of the things we learn when we dive into more of a naked yoga practice, is that people are beautiful when their soul sits close to their skin, when you can see the person underneath shining out. That's what makes somebody truly, truly beautiful.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you, but it's not an easy job. I mean, you have to work on yourself to really allow your soul to shine, mm-hmm. in order for others to realize who you really are. I mean, for me, the biggest problem in this society is being afraid of being judged by others. And especially now, as you were saying, all the social media, they're creating all this criteria on how things should be when it's not like that. Yeah. It's actually not like that. So just guide yourself. For me, intuition is a very good sign of letting go. Just follow your dreams, follow your intuition, and go with it.
I love that. I love it. Fernando, if somebody wants to work more with you, how do they do that? Can they work with you online, virtual? Are you hosting any retreats coming up that they could come to?
Actually, yes. I mean, we're ending 2022, but for 2023, I'll keep on going with online classes. I've been teaching online classes since COVID, and it's incredible. I have thought so many times about just letting go and not doing the classes, but I can connect with so many guys all around the world. The guys that were connecting since COVID, I have people that do yoga online from Vancouver, from New York, from all around Europe, even going to India and to Australia. So for me, it's a way to connect with all the people around the world. And I'm hosting also a retreat, a naked yoga retreat on a boat in Turkey.
Oh, lovely.
That's amazing. It will be in May, and I have 10 places, and it's an amazing experience because it's totally naked. And we're just going around some islands in Turkey, closer to Greece. And this will be my first time hosting this kind of retreat, but I'm very excited.
Oh, it sounds absolutely magical. I will try to attend if I can, because that sounds fantastic.
Please.
Cool. Is there anything else you would like to share? Anything else you would like to talk about while we have this time together today?
Actually, I just want to say that what we've been saying until now, it's just be free and be proud of yourself. Just try to feel yourself from deep within and just go. And also thank you for interviewing me, for sharing yoga with me the last time you were in Paris. You know that you're more than welcome.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, my friend. So much love for you, so much love for your partner, and I would love to get to connect in person with you both soon. Thank you for your time today. Please check him out. I will put his socials links in the description below, so please do click on him, give him some follows, and I'm sure we'll have more to share coming soon. So thank you so much, Fernando.
Thank you, Kay.